Every now and then a band appears out of nowhere and just blows me away with their sound. And that is the case for Southwest UK post-black metal band Copse. Their debut record just came out a couple of weeks ago. It is called Mondrem. It includes 2 songs. So far they've only released 2 songs, but those 2 songs are longer than your average songs. Copse started out as a lockdown bedroom project between guitarist Phil Vernon and Bono. That is not the one from U2. And quite quickly steamrolled after recruiting bassist Rob Collier, drummer Ryan Westwood, and vocalist Ed Garrood-Gibbs. The songs were produced by Devil Sold His Soul guitarist Jonny Renshaw, and the band are going to make their live debut this summer. So I caught up with Phil Vernon at his home in Bristol, and we talked all about the band and the music that inspired them.
Hello.
Hi Phil, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. So where are you? You're in Bristol?
I'm in Bristol, yeah. So I'm based here. We're kind of spread around Southwest and South Wales, all within kind of like an hour of each other, really. But yeah, so we're kind of, hence the kind of general Southwest kind of geotag on the or whatever on any of our bios sort of thing. So yeah, but I guess you would probably say we were more of a Bristol band if you had to pin us to a city.
This band kind of fell into my lap on Twitter. I think somebody was talking about you on Twitter, and it was from somebody that they're usually like in my ballpark musically. So I went to check it out, and like I think actually when I discovered you, I don't think there was anything out. It was just like something's coming.
Oh, okay.
And I think you're probably the first person that I spoke to from a band where you've only released 2 tracks.
Okay. Well, that's a good thing. So.
Yeah, but you're already on my radar, and like 2 tracks for you is actually a lot longer than 2 tracks for most people. I think we're talking, what, 18 minutes, is it? Total?
Yeah, so it's just around that sort of mark, yeah.
Okay, so these are long tracks. We get a lot of material over 2 tracks. Tell me a little bit about how this kind of came together. Like, what was the catalyst for this band?
Lockdown, I guess, to a point, was a big thing. I've been wanting to do something along the lines of what Copse are doing now for quite a long time. Something, whatever you want to call it, black metal-y, post-black metal type stuff. That's very much in my kind of wheelhouse in terms of what I listen to a majority of the time. Done a lot of stuff in the past, from more kind of technical heavy bands to hardcore bands, but this is something I've always wanted to do for quite a long time, and I've always played around with ideas myself at home that never really got anywhere or turned into anything. And then I started my current job kind of 4 years ago, and in the first couple of weeks I realized, well, I think it was like Dress Down Friday or something, and I saw this guy at the other end of the office with a De Weg eine Freiheit t-shirt on, and I was like, right, okay, I really love that band, and it's not the sort of thing you expect to see in a kind of office doing what we're doing. So I went over and chatted.
Not even a t-shirt you would expect to see anywhere, not even if you were at a metal festival, it'd be unusual.
Exactly, yeah. So it'd be different if you saw a guy, in a bigger band shirt, like a Slipknot shirt or something like that. You'd be like, oh, cool, this guy's into some metal. I'll go and chat to him. But to be so specific to the kind of thing that I love, and a band I really, really like and admire, and then to see him wearing this shirt, I was like, oh, he's obviously really into kind of this, to have this shirt and whatnot. So whenever got chatting, turns out he plays guitar as well, records stuff at home. And nothing really happened for like 2 years. We spoke a lot. We become, close friends, constant music recommendations, but didn't really do a lot outside of the workplace, really. And then lockdown happened, and I started playing around with some ideas, maybe a little bit more. And I was chatting to him about it, and he said he was playing with some ideas, and we were like, this is stupid. Like, why don't we just do some stuff together? So I sent him what he had. So I think I had maybe The Bones to Mara, the first track.
Right.
Probably most of the structure and the main parts. So I sent that to him, and he was like, yeah, this is going to fit well with the sort of stuff I'm doing. Let's leave it with me and let's see what we can do. So he put a few ideas on top, sent it back, and it grew from there, really. Mara was done really quickly, and then we moved on to Mondrem, which, if you've heard the songs, just, there's a bit more to it. So the other guitars really pushed the kind of playing and there's a lot of stuff. It's not really obvious, I think, in that song. Sometimes it's quite obvious when you listen to a band, you listen to someone like Archspire, it's obvious, that they're shredding, they're crazy. There's some really, luckily, not for me, I mean, he's a much better guitar player than I am. He's doing some quite intricate, very tricky stuff on that, which is a lot of the picking that you hear in the background, which doesn't sound like a lot going on, but if you could watch what his hands were doing when he was playing it. So I think that's what gives that sort of level. So anyway, we finished kind of Mondrem, and originally we home produced, and they were going to be instrumental. We were going to record the guitars, program drums, and just put them out on Bandcamp as like a kind of like a home project. And then we showed them to a few friends, and they were like, "Oh yeah, I wouldn't mind getting involved in this." And so we brought Rob on to have a play around with some bass, which worked really well. And we were like, "Oh, it's nice to have a bass player rather than program bass or one of us guys doing it." And then we were like, "Oh, maybe we should go in the studio and do it properly." And everything, like pretty much everything I've recorded previously was with Jonny Renshaw from Devil Solid Soul at Bandit Studios. So I knew straight away I wanted to record with him. The sort of thing that he produced, the quality of it, I knew it'd sound great. It's that similar sort of melodic layers, but I've never really heard him do a lot of things like blast beats and really big fast stuff like that before, but I was like, "Oh, I'm excited." So we spoke to a few people, but ended up locking in with our friend Ryan on drums. So he played drums in All We Have, which was the previous band that me and Ed did, kind of melodic hardcore band. So he recorded the drums on the second record for that. Yeah. We knew he was a great drummer, not played a lot of real fast metal before, but he was up for the challenge, really pushed himself. And then the last thing really was Ed kind of like, he's a very close friend of mine. Ed, we've been friends for a long time. So obviously I was constantly showing him the ideas, "Oh, I'm doing this new thing." And I think all the way through, it's like, "Oh, if you ever fancy it, I wouldn't mind giving it a go. Like I'm really into it, and I'd be interested to see. You don't have to go with it if you don't want to. If you want to keep it instrumental." And yeah, he did some demos, and there was no looking back really. So,
I mean, he's got a pretty extraordinary voice. Did you know that he could do that?
Well, yes. I mean, obviously, my initial kind of introduction to being friends with Ed would have been kind of the late 2000s. So when Devil Solid Soul started, like I said, I've known Jonny, the guitarist, from when I was really good friends with Johnny's, well, still I'm really good friends with Johnny's brother at school. So he's a couple of school years older than us, but, I go to, so from like 5 or 6 years old, he drove us to all our first gigs that we went to because he was those few years older. So I've known him for 30 odd years. So of course, his time in Mahamodo, and then when he started Devil Solid Soul, right from the start, I was into it. He was keeping me posted, sending me things. And Ed was actually really good friends with Johnny's brother, Tom, who, brought us together from kind of college. So obviously, we knew what we could do, from that point when I moved down to Bristol. So I moved down here in 2011, started hanging out with Ed much, much more. Before that, my contact was whenever they came up north for Devil Solid Soul shows, I go to Manchester shows, Leeds shows, wherever they were really, to see Jonny and watch the band and catch up. So we knew what he could do, and we were excited when he said he wanted to be a part of it. Obviously, I'd done All We Have with him as well. So it was cool. I think he quite enjoyed getting into it and maybe going back to some of the maybe earlier Devil kind of higher screams and things like that he could bring back out.
Yeah, very cool. So you've got these 2 songs that you've just released.
Yes.
Have you got more already in the can, or what's happening with the rest?
So not in the can. So we're very much working on a full length. Obviously, a full length for us, it could end up being 4 songs, maybe 5. We're looking to try and maybe next time, put out somewhere in the region of maybe 35, 40 minutes, maybe worth of music. So there are some songs that pretty much, because Mara and Mondrem have actually probably been finished now. I mean, we went into the studio to record them properly with Jonny November, December last year, but they were probably structurally as good as finished, by that summer, maybe even before that, really. The bones have been there since probably the start of last year, really. So we were already kind of working on some ideas. The other guitarist is very, very prolific. He's quite, he's not structured. I guess he's just religious. I don't know the best way to say it. He's dedicated, I guess is the word. He really sets himself some time every week to sit aside, really push himself with his guitar playing, continue writing. So he's been very busy, writing a lot of stuff. I've not written anywhere near as much, but luckily his output's enough for the two of us at the moment. But yeah, we're getting there. We've got kind of the first song we've been working on is about the length of the whole record of Mondrem at the moment. So yeah, the whether it's going to be the other, we don't know. But there's a song that we're working on at the moment, which is a long song, very similar vein, pushing ourselves a bit more in terms of arrangements and playing a bit, but it'll sound very similar to the EP. And then there's bones of other songs that need to be put together. So yeah, the plan is to try and get that written, hopefully over this year, and try and hopefully get into the studio maybe towards the end of this year again, or towards the start of next year, and all going well.
Yeah, so this EP's been out like nearly 2 weeks, but I've seen some of the reactions to it already, and you've posted some on your social media, some of the reviews and stuff. Did that catch you by surprise, like how well received it's been?
Obviously it was really nice to see that people within the industry, peers, people that we respect, and blogs that we've maybe read and followed, especially some of the places like Punktastic, which is obviously a very popular and big forum in the scene, really, that influences a lot of people's music. They have a lot of people's ear. To get the reviews that we've had from those publications, and just the immediate excitement when we initially sent the track out to press. We found a huge list of sites and just emailed whoever we could, to see if we're doing this all ourselves. We don't have a press team or anything. As you contacted us direct, so we spent an evening emailing out to anyone who we thought may be interested in hearing it, and we got some, straight away, we got some feedback of, they listened to the tracks that we sent them and they were like, oh, wow, we'll definitely get into this, which kind of got us excited. So we knew some stuff was coming, but yeah, maybe not the words that we have received so far. I think in our heads, because we've been working on it so long, like, I think, I'm not to say we knew it was good. Obviously, we were very happy with it, and we obviously thought it was good, otherwise we wouldn't have put it out there. And we were like, oh, if we can get a couple of nice reviews, that'll be amazing. So yeah, what we've got so far has been made us really happy.
And what about on the live side? Are you doing anything on the live side?
We do plan on playing live, yeah. So we've all got quite busy lives, marriage and kids and jobs and things like that, and none of us are getting any younger. But the plan is to play some shows. We have some in the pipeline. I think we should hopefully be announcing one in a couple of weeks that is confirmed. So from the summer onwards, we're hoping, like I say, we need to get some of these, at least another one of these, hopefully other songs kind of fleshed out enough to play it live. Because obviously at the moment we've got 2 complete songs. So at the moment the set would be the album, it would be the EP or whatever. Yeah. So it'd be a nice 20-minute set. But if we can get another song or 2 in ready, so we're giving ourselves till the summer to try and work on those, and so we've got something to kind of pad out the set, and then the plan is to play shows. I mean, we probably won't be, I don't know if we'll ever hugely tour or dedicate ourselves to big tours or anything like that, but the plan is to try and get out, do the odd weekenders, maybe local shows midweeks, and just see what pops up, really. So, but yeah, definitely want to get out and play it live. Really excited to do that. So
cool. On this channel, we talk a lot about the music that you listen to as well as the music you make. Do you remember a band or a record that kind of turned you on to heavy music?
Oh gosh, heavy music back in the day. It probably would have been kind of like around the start of high school, I guess. I was always really into music. It was always on in the house a lot, in the car. I've got one of those dads that was like a kind of, old rocker and always had the Sabbath on, but he was always just a big music fan. He used to be like, he used to do kind of discos in the 80s. So, he always had, 7-inch singles everywhere, and always been a huge fan of music. So it was always on in the car, even things like, like Now compilations and things like that. I've kind of got this weird encyclopedic knowledge of anything from the late 80s through the 90s, just because, they were just constant kind of mix compilation CDs in the car and tapes and things. But getting into high school, again, I think probably my friendship with Tom and such, getting to know Jonny, he was that few years older than us, and so was probably that few more years into it. So I think, starting off heavy-wise, it would have been the same sort of gateway bands for everybody. For me, it would have been more the new metal things to start it off. So it would have been, there was a couple of early Deftones, Korn, Slipknot records, anything from around that sort of time. I think most people either come in through the kind of Green Day, Blink route or through the new metal route, didn't they?
Yeah.
When we were getting into these things kind of 20, 25 years ago. But then I think more, what sort of like really kind of grasped me and what kind of took me more down the, I still love new metal nowadays. I can listen to any of that sort of stuff all day. But the stuff that took me maybe into the more, if you want to call it serious, I guess, sort of stuff, or maybe more underground sort of thing, would have been definitely Glassjaw, huge one. Obviously they kind of got tied. Anybody that released a metal album in the early 2000s would seem to be called new metal, even if they weren't. But Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Silence was a huge record for me. And the other two that always stick, as well as the obvious, things like White Pony and things like that, it would have been probably Calculated Infinity, Build Your Escape Plan, and Opposite of December by Poison the Well. I think those kind of, obviously they were both, 99. So, they came out the same year as the first Slipknot record, and obviously they're quite different. But again, it would have been, Jonny, showing us those. Me and Tom would have been listening to, those kind of obvious new metal bands that a lot of people were, and Jonny being those few years older and more mature, and he was already in Mahamoda at the time and was playing with bands like Sick, the Aconite Thrill, and Eden Main. So all the kind of smaller UK underground bands we would, we got quite a bit of an early inroad with, and the more extreme things. So I'd say those kind of three records were huge, and Jane Doe, obviously, when that dropped as well. I think in terms of shaping the next 20 years of my musical listening, I think probably those 3 or 4 records, probably, popular records for everybody, but for a reason. They're the top of their game, and they all still stand out today. They're not dated, any of those records. So
yeah, and obviously they're all heavy records.
Yeah,
but nobody listens to heavy music all the time.
Oh no, 100%.
What do you listen to when you just want to chill out?
So my wife and myself are big fans of, we love movie soundtracks. So especially kind of Hans Zimmer stuff. So, especially in the car, we quite religiously listen to things like the Interstellar soundtrack.
Yeah.
Anything.
Have you heard his live album? I think is it Live in Prague?
Yeah, so we went to see that tour in Birmingham, actually, at the Barclaycard Arena, whatever, in Birmingham. So we were really lucky to see that tour. So we've got the Blu-ray, and we've got the record of that, and have it on Spotify or whatever. So that's probably our go-to in the car, because it's a good mix of everything, isn't it?
I see.
So movie soundtracks is a huge one. I'm also a big fan of more quirkier kind of female pop sort of stuff. So back from Bjork back in the day, I'm a huge Kate Bush fan. But then through more recently, I'm not sure if there's a great band from America, a 3-piece girl group called Muna, M-U-N-A.
Yeah, didn't they open for Harry Styles or something like
that?
Yeah,
they did, weirdly. Yeah, so luckily I got the chance to see them a couple of years back, just pre-lockdown. They played a headline show at Ifabak in Cardiff, so it was cool. It was I don't think they'll play shows that small if they come over here again. Yeah, they've kind of, the first 2 albums they did have been great. I think they're just teasing a new one maybe recently. And they've kind of just pushed themselves to another level. They just did a song with Phoebe Bridgers recently. It's got a Silk Chiffon.
That's all you just need to get Phoebe on your record, and suddenly you just go to the next one.
And that's the thing. So they did that song. It's kind of pushed them, even bigger sort of thing. But again, my friend Leander put me onto those. When the first record came out, so 5 or 6 years ago, maybe. So yeah, I listened to a lot of stuff like that. And then, even some kind of more modern classical things. My wife plays the piano. Lucky to have a piano downstairs, so she plays a lot of things like Ludovico Einaudi and things like that. So a lot of quieter stuff on top of the shouting and screaming.
And the heavy scene in the UK seems to be like at a really good point at the moment. There just seems to be a lot of really exciting bands breaking through.
Yeah,
are you kind of paying attention to all of that?
Yeah, I always try, I always try and keep on top of what's going on. I think as you get older, it's easy to, we've talked about those records, and I'd probably still listen to all those records I mentioned earlier, once a month sort of thing. But then I do always try and stay on top of, what's new, what's coming out. And like you say perfectly, at the moment, the UK scene is as strong as I've known it for a long, long time, I think. So, yeah, I'm really lucky that obviously we live close to like Arctangent, the festival Arctangent. Yeah, that's 20 minutes drive from us. So, that's been a staple every summer. A lot of bands I might discover, they pop up on the bill for that. I always try and check out all the bands before I go, because no matter who plays there, whether, it could be the first band on the fourth stage, they're always generally really good. The musicianship, the songwriting is always amazing. That festival really pushes great bands. So I like it from that. And then obviously just recommendations from friends, keeping your eye. And I don't really read a lot of, magazines and publications anymore. So a lot of the time lucky enough that I've got a group of friends that are quite good at sharing music and have you heard this and have you heard that? And
what's the band that you're saying that to your friends about? Or maybe give me like a couple of bands that you're excited about at the moment.
So UK bands, so I'm sure you're conscious, there's a band called Hidden Mothers, who they've been going obviously a few years more than us. They're a bit more established than we are.
Are they from Derby or something like that?
Like Sheffield
okay.
Sort of way, like Yorkshire lads. So I'm really lucky to know Liam from Hidden Mothers. I've known him for 15 odd years. He put on one of my old bands back in Huddersfield when he was at uni there, years back sort of thing, and we've been friends since. But they're great, doing in the same sort of space that we do, that kind of like post BM sort of thing. I think they're working on I don't know if it's their full length, or at least will be their next record. But their EP is great. There's another band that I love up in Manchester. Again, lucky to be friends with some of them. But a bit different. So there's a band called Going Off.
I don't know them.
Yeah, so they are a hardcore band, quite angsty, short, fast, kind of hard songs, but really great, doing a lot of traction. So they put out a record called Destroy on a label called Patient Zero Records. And I think they may be going in maybe even this weekend to start recording the debut album. But they're playing shows, all over the country. The drummer Hef is doing a lot of good stuff for the Manchester hardcore scene. Remember, he's putting on a lot of shows, putting together some great bills in Manchester. UK bands and touring bands. So they're definitely one to kind of watch out for. They're touring around a lot at the moment. And then just obviously all the other bands. You've got like bands like Underdark. Love that band. It'd be great to, we'd love to play some shows with those guys sort of thing. I was looking at my old band to play a show with them a couple of years back, and they blew me away. That record, they put out last year was stunning. And then all these, the Mastiffs, the Conjurers, there's just, there's almost too many to name really. It's we're really lucky at the moment.
What's next in the world of Copse?
So again, obviously it's carrying on working on, what will hopefully be the full length. So we're going to step that up now, get ourselves into the practice room to get ourselves ready for these, shows that we've got, coming up. Like I say, which will hopefully be announced soon. So hopefully a few shows from the summer onwards towards the back end of the year. And then, just working on, getting stuff written, ready for the next release. There's been, there's obviously been a bit of, a good reaction to this, and you want to try and keep that traction going, don't you? So, we don't want to leave, ideally, we don't want to try and leave it, two odd years before it comes out. So we've got some merch coming soon, hopefully. There's some tee designs in the works. We're really trying to get it pressed. But it's very difficult at the moment. Obviously, everyone, anyone who buys records or works for a label knows just how difficult it is at the moment with delays to press implants. We've spoken to a few to try and get quotes, and a lot of them have just been like, we're just not even taking on new work at the moment, because our backlogs are so big. It's kind of been a bit of a victim of its own success, I think, the vinyl revolution. I mean, you can argue, the hardcore metal bands have been doing it they never really stopped doing it and have been doing it for years. And, it's easy to blame the you know, the Adeles or the Taylor Swifts for pressing 500,000 records at a time or whatever. But, you know, I think it's great that people are buying physical music again. I think, you know, Spotify and Apple Music, I mean, we all use it. We've all got accounts. You know, it's convenient. It's, you know, I can understand, you know, people maybe don't have space for physical record collections anymore. You know, I've only recently kind of slimmed down my CDs. I couldn't bear to bin them all, but I binned the jewel cases and put them all in a load of wallets because I was sick of having, you know, 15, 16 IPA hours every time, you know, with, you know, 1,500 CDs in or whatever. But I think it's good that people are buying physical music again. So, you know, we would love it. You know, we all are big fans of records. We've all bought records and physical music, you know, our entire lives, and have never really dropped out of doing that. So, you know, we would love to have it even for ourselves. So
it's just a nice thing to have something that
it'd be amazing
musically that you can hold in your hand and like discover.
Exactly. And I always loved it, you know, when we've, you know, everything I've done has always been kind of self-released. Could say it's because it's never been good enough to be on a label. You could say it's just because, you know, we were never really pushing it that far. We were happy doing it ourselves.
You can now.
Well, and that's the thing, and we realised that. I've realised that in previous bands that, you know, it's easy enough to kind of, you know, CD duplication. Obviously, you know, we can get that. You can get whatever quite quickly. But I think, you know, with things like vinyl, it's an investment. Anyone that's ever got anything pressed will know that it's not particularly cheap to get pressed. It's the sort of thing, as with anything, you know, if you want to get a short run of 100, a lot of people won't do it, or it'll cost you maybe only 100 quid more to get 200. But then you've got to sell it, and you've got to store it somewhere while you're selling it, and it's always that risk, isn't it? Especially if you're doing it yourself. Obviously, like it is for any record label, you know, do we pay 1,200 quid and get these pressed? You know, we maybe not sell them, and so there's always that kind of risk. But I think we've all said, you know, we want it so much ourselves. You know, even if we did that and paid it between us and took the hit, and we didn't sell any, and we ended up, you know, paying £200 each for a copy of a lovely splatter vinyl or something, I think we'd be happy with that, just to have it ourselves. So that is the plan. Hopefully we can do it and get it out before the record. If not, I guess we could maybe look at putting the two out together as a package. We're talking about maybe doing something physical in the meantime, just so we've got something for shows and, you know, something to kind of sell on the Bandcamp, even if it's like, you know, obviously tapes. A lot of people are buying tapes again now, and, you know, there's a lot of places, you know, the turnaround on those is so much quicker. So yeah, maybe we'll get a little short run of some tapes or something in the meantime over the next couple of months.
I have to say, if you get in t-shirts and stuff done, speak to the guys from Conjurer, because the quality of their t-shirts is like really good. I'm excited to see what you do next, because I really love what you've put out so far, and I know that seems to be the general vibe, that everybody's just like, hang on a minute, who are these guys? So I'm just really happy that you've taken this chance to put music out, and it's been so well received. And thanks for spending some time chatting with me from Bristol. It's all snowy in Montreal, but yeah, and you never know, maybe one day you'll get over here and play some shows as well. But
I mean, yeah, I think we take it if we got it offered. Yeah,
but Conjurer have been here already.
Yes, yeah, there's that opportunity, and I think, you know, we've all had a taste of, or well, I'll say all of us, three of us have had a taste more of being in more touring bands. And, you know, I was lucky to get to go over to Europe a few times with all we have, and absolutely loved it. Never really been, you know, much further, you know, any further afield than that for any shows. But I mean, who wouldn't take an opportunity to, you know, to go and play a show somewhere, not even exotic, just somewhere far flung, and, you know, to a different audience, and see someone new and meet some new people. So who knows?
Well, never say never. I'm sure things are going to happen for you, at least in the UK this year. So good luck with everything, and thanks for your time.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Nice to meet you. Take care.